The situation in Niger, Africa is getting extremely intense. So much so that you have other African countries who are willing to go to battle if anyone messes with Niger. You even have Russia looming in the background calling Africa family. You even have American and European citizens fleeing the country of Niger because they are not about to wait for the United States or their countries to go extract them out. Nonetheless, let's watch this video and see what's happening in Niger.
Neighbouring Mali and Burkina Faso, themselves governed by military juntas, have rallied around the officers who ousted President Bazoum.
We refuse to apply these illegal, illegitimate and inhumane sanctions against the people of Niger. We warn that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
Now, Burkina Faso and Mali are saying if anyone touches Niger or anybody messes with Niger, we're going to have problems. In fact, we are probably going to go to war. But who are they talking about and why all of a sudden do they care? Okay, so you have something out there called ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. And I know typically we like to generalize Africa as one massive combined community, but this is not necessarily the case. But you do have many communities throughout Africa like ECOWAS that do stand together and help with economic trade and work together to better their nations. Nonetheless, in the highlighted portion, these are the countries involved, and of course, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they're all in ECOWAS. So Mali and Burkina Faso are willing to go to battle with the rest of ECOWAS if they are threatening military intervention. And guess what? They are. And they also have restrictions on Niger inside and outside of the country. Let's go ahead and watch this clip. And again, please stick with me in this video because we are going to see how one of the countries of ECOWAS sees Russia as family and how things are starting to make sense and how Russia is starting to insert themselves within Niger.
The Economic Community of West African States sent a delegation to Niger on Wednesday to negotiate with the military coup leaders who seized power last week. Meanwhile, regional defense chiefs started a two-day meeting in the Nigerian capital Abuja. Abdel Fattah Musa, ECOWAS's Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security.
If we can avoid a peaceful restoration of constitutional right in the country, so we that.
Now, real quick, many people might see ECOWAS as picking on Niger, but what you need to understand is that this entire region of Africa is infested with militant groups. So if one country goes down, this is the perfect area for militant groups to start recruiting and saying, hey, work for us, we can all work together, everything will be fine. And again, we'll get into all of that, so please stick with me in this video. I'm just trying to let you guys know, this is why ECOWAS cares so much for Niger. If Niger falls, this is going to be a really big deal for the rest of Central Africa.
But we have to prepare for all eventualities. And Excellencies, you are here for the final eventuality, the last resort. That is planning for a possible intervention to restore constitutional order.
ECOWAS has imposed sanctions on Niger and threatened to authorize the use of force if the coup leaders do not reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum by Sunday. The West African regional bloc has struggled to contain a democratic backslide in the region and had vowed that coups would no longer be tolerated after recent takeovers in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea.
Notice how the two countries who are the most vocal about all of this and are willing to stick up for Niger have also had coups, so everything really seems to be making sense here.
Said that any military intervention in Niger would be considered a declaration of war against them too.
Now, at the end of the day, if Niger continues to be in disarray or continues to be in all of this chaos, there are militant groups who are more likely to recruit people out of desperation who need to join these militant groups, maybe to feed their families. And this is why the U.S. military is extremely concerned for the country of Niger and extremely concerned to even be within that country, because then all of a sudden they're going to find themselves in the middle of a civil war. And because of all of this chaos and disarray, you have U.S. citizens and you have European citizens who are fleeing the country.
France says it's going to evacuate citizens from Niger beginning today. That's according to the country's foreign ministry. It comes after Niger's military junta overthrew the country's pro-Western president during a coup last week.
Now, I had mentioned before that one of the countries in ECOWAS sees Russia as family, and Russia needs to be involved in all things Africa. And the country is Burkina Faso. Now, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This is on a TikTok. I apologize for the cringe music and being on TikTok. I don't have a choice. I don't want to get copyright. But nonetheless, let's watch this clip. And again, it gives us an insight into how some African countries, especially the ones who were in a coup and tie themselves with Russia, it really shows us how Russia probably and will get involved with Niger if everything falls through for Niger in this coup and takeover. Again, everything is lining up so perfect for Russia. They destroyed the grain deal with Ukraine, and all of a sudden they're giving all this free grain and free money to these African countries, which is great for these African countries. Now the people of these countries will be fed. But all of a sudden, when you have Burkina Faso and you have Mali who have fallen and they rely on Russia, things are just making sense. It doesn't take a genius to realize what Russia is doing. What Russia's doing is extremely smart. This is the perfect espionage card to try getting into these countries. And again, the fact that Wagner has commented on Niger, the fact that Russia is well aware of what's going on and they say, good for Niger, destroy the West, we love what you're doing. Not verbatim, but essentially what they're saying. Everything is making sense here. Like, why would two African countries in ECOWAS want to go to war with other countries in ECOWAS who want to help Niger? Things are not making sense. They all have a common enemy. And again, when you look at what every country is saying in ECOWAS, they all want to fight these militant groups and they all want to work together. But for some reason, Russia has something to do with any of this. That's why, again, I see Russia as the key factor of trying to get into Niger. If Russia gets into Niger, the exact same thing will be happening to every single country in ECOWAS. They're going to push out all of these militant groups into another country. That country will fall. Then they're going to push those militant groups to another country. It keeps happening and happening and happening. That's why ECOWAS is extremely pissed off that another country within ECOWAS has fallen apart to a coup.
Niger is a key Western ally in the fight against Islamist insurgents. And the coup has been condemned by foreign powers who fear it could allow the militants to gain ground. Britain's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly met with Nigerian President Bola Tinubu in Abuja on Wednesday.
I made the point that the UK very much welcomes ECOWAS's and his indeed decisive action, his strong commitment to democracy, and the unambiguous message that violence is not the means to bring political change in any circumstance, and that the commitment to democracy in Nigeria and in the region is unwavering.
Again, the main reason for these outside groups to be working within Niger, the U.S. military, Great Britain, France, you name it, they're all in there, is to bring the fight to these extremist groups who might bring the fight to our homelands. I think that is what we are getting confused about. And the thing that really stinks is that Mali and Burkina Faso, they still have their own militant groups to deal with. But what they're doing is they're just pushing them all out into Niger, screwing over Niger. And that is due in part because of Russia. Wagner Group is working within those countries. And to be fair, they're doing a decent job, but they're doing a job that's screwing over everyone else. And that's why now the U.S. military in the United States is put in a position of, hey, we look like we're not able to do our job. In fact, Russia and Wagner have even blasted the United States and said, look, you have the greatest military power in the world and they can't even keep everything together in Niger. Come work with us, Wagner. We will give you our services and you will be tied to Russia.
The US hasn't announced any sanctions so far, instead offering Niger's military time to reverse course.
We haven't made a determination yet because it is still an ongoing fluid situation.
At the end of the day, the U.S. is not going to call this a coup because the second they call what's happening in Niger a coup, all military aid stops, the military gets out of Niger, we pull the embassy, everyone has to leave, it becomes a massive issue. But then this opens the floodgates for any other country to come into Niger and try to work with them and try to take advantage of them in a very bad way. The U.S. military is there to fight militant groups and to be in Central Africa to help other neighboring countries. But unfortunately, you have people like Russia who are in there to totally take advantage of these people and make it seem like, look, we're suffering. The rest of the world hates us. The rest of the world hates Africa. Let's work together. This is the same exact strategy they do with everyone, to include China, who's also in Africa. Nonetheless, let me know what you guys think down below. Leave your comments and opinions down below. This is a very fluid situation. It's changing every single day, but the main things you need to know is that Mali and Burkina Faso are willing to fight other countries of ECOWAS, who all are supposed to be working together to have one common enemy. They've also agreed not to have any more coups. Nonetheless, you have a coup in Niger. So this is not supposed to be happening. That's why everyone is hating on Niger and telling them, fix the problem or we're going to fix the problem for you, including the United States. Nonetheless, again, leave your comments and opinions down below. This is currently what's happening in Niger.